Form, read 300, absolutely. I mean, it's not my personal thing, but you know, because it's like, you know, hundreds of naked dudes beating up on each other. It's basically Jackass to the nth degree, pretty much.
Hundreds of naked dudes. How many hundreds?
Three of those hundreds, in fact.
Yes, by Angela, sorry.
Okay.
Would be Feminism and Inclusivity in Graphic Novels and how it can be I have such a hard time with that word.
Sexy.
Yes, sexy. Thank you.
Who the hell am I? Who do I think I am? I'm Geena Phillips.
Might be too deep.
I write occasionally, and I advocate for trans and disability issues. And I've been reading comics, gosh, the first comic I remember, I must have been 6 or 7. I remember when I was 8 years old, and I was getting transferred to a different school for reasons. And my teacher, who I guess thought I was cool, or whatever, what do you think of an 8-year-old kid, gave me a big stack of comics that are going away. I've read comics before then, but that's like one of the really first real concrete ones I had. And I remember a bunch of them were Deathlock, which was somebody I always had a fondness for, even up to now. Even when they had him on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., I still liked him. But,
oh, how could you not like him on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.? He's played by J.R. Richards.
That's true, and who's a good actor. I like him. So, yeah, I've been loving comics for a very, 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 very long time.
But how long have you been titillated by comics?
Honestly, I think this is probably my go-to for the subject of this panel. It's probably when I was right around college age, and my friend, who's also the person who had a lot to do with where I was at musically, and who influenced me a lot. We were friends as teenagers. We'd like stay over at each other's houses, and we'd copy each other's tapes, and spread music around amongst ourselves like endlessly. That was he had a lot of influence on my music taste from back in the day. But he introduced me to Love and Rockets, and boy, that made a huge difference to me. But first of all, in the potential of, even though I'd read some of the black and white explosion in the mid '80s, that was like one of the first things I read that really opened up my eyes for how comics could be as a storytelling medium.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, as you get further into Love and Rockets, there's a ton of great queer representation in the books.
Especially in the Palomar stories.
Oh yeah, the Palomar stories especially. A lot more trans representation than you would figure that would happen in Mexico in the '60s and '70s. But
well, it wasn't Mexico.
Was it?
No, it's a Palomar is a fictional Central American country.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah. It's always been very careful to make that clear.
Oh, I didn't. Stories of Maggie and Hopi really got me deep down. Because it really does. It happens, over the course of decades. It really does have this sort of really sort of grand love story between two women who are constantly in and out of each other's lives. So, God, I don't know if that counts as titillating or not. I mean, the sex they have is hot. I have to say, Gilbert has a particular way of portraying sex that is pretty astounding to read. Jaime's portrayals of sex kind of off. They tend to be a little more matter of fact, like, oh, these people are having sex because that's the story they have sex, But that's just me. I have to say, in terms of visual style, Gilbert moves me more than Jaime does. But they're both great. That could just be me. I'm a real sucker for very contrasty black and white artwork. So that's kind of where I'm at.
No,
No,
but
it's not Milo Minar or something like that. It's still, but the thing is, this thing I like about it as far as queer representation goes is that the queer stuff is not sensationalized. Any of that content is.
right.
Queer sex is presented as matter of factly as any other sex. It's definitely not heteronormative in general. So I think it's a fantastic read. It will take you a long time to read it, and you'll be very happy. And they're still making new stories. And the thing is that unlike mainstream comics, especially in Gilbert's stories, the characters are aging. I mean, they were Maggie and Hopi were about my age when I first started reading the comic, and they're about my age now. So. First of all, he is a straight up misogynist. I can't think of a female character in his work that isn't a sex worker. That's like his primary thing in his work, and and it gets reinforced to me every single time because apparently popular media can't get away from having a portrayal of Batman who's influenced by the Dark Knight, like the Dark Knight Returns, constantly. Like it's been 30 years, folks. Maybe I love that book when it came out, and it's one of the least problematic of his works. But it's time to move on. It's time to find other stuff to be inspired by. And I think I'm hoping that what happened with Batman v Superman, at least creatively, will teach people. It won't teach Warner Bros. Anything because it actually did okay overseas. So they seem to do anything different, but. I'm hoping that directors will see it and say, you know what, maybe we need to start veering off on how we portray this character. All form, read 300, absolutely. I mean, it's not that's not my personal thing, but because it's like hundreds of naked dudes beating up on each other. It's basically Jackass to the nth degree, pretty much.
Hundreds of naked dudes. How many hundreds?
Three of those hundreds, in fact.
Plus, a couple million very
monstrous
Persians.
But the Persians, of course, wore clothes. So,
and
which,
made as monstrous
screw those
as possible.
guys.
Make them as much as the other as they could.
It's 300 is one of those books. It's kind of reminds me of I don't want to react to a movie out of it because, like a Zack Snyder movie. It is not good, but it's awesome. Does that make sense?
No.
There's something about most of Zack Snyder's movies that they're not good. They're not good movies, but yet you really get swept up in them. It's kind of like when people give their worst ideas about Spielberg, but about Zack Snyder they're actually true. Because Spielberg is blatantly manipulative, but any film director worth their salt actually is, and I think people who want to criticize Spielberg are too heavy on that. But Zack Snyder really feels like it's an exercise in evil genius. So I don't know, or at least evil savant maybe, because I don't know. I don't know how much overt genius he has.
I reject any reality in which he's a genius.